Next up is one of the greatest tracks on Electric Ladyland, the incredible Gypsy Eyes. Gypsy Eyes has tons of guitar parts, and we're going to try to cover as many of them as we can. The song begins with this drum pattern, just bass drum and hi-hat, and then a single rhythm guitar comes in, a really cool rhythm guitar part. So we're going to start with that, goes into this melody, and the melody's doubled an octave higher. So I'm going to lay down the lower octave melody first. And then there's these effects that Jimmy did at the beginning, these sliding noises that he used the slide for. We're going to try to get that in there too. And through most of the tune, the verse sections and the solos, you've got like a primary rhythm guitar part and solos behind it. So that's going to be the basic structure going forward. So let's start with the intro, the primary guitar part. All right, for the intro, one of the first things you hear at the end of the 4 bars of the drums is this noise, and allegedly, the story goes, that Jimmy took a slide and went like that each time. So it was an overdub. He had a guitar where he just had some sort of a slide, and he hit the strings and slide down on beat 4 in each one of those bars in the intro. 1, 2, 3, like that. So one way to emulate it is to just go with your hand. 1, 2, 3, something like that. And then the main lick going back and forth between 7th fret of the D and 5th fret, and then 8th fret on the low E. So first bar, at the end there, you play a 5th fret of the G string, or you can get a bar across the G and the B string. Bar 3, he ends with a bend 8th fret on the B string up a whole step, back down and pull off. And then in that last bar, he just goes, just a trill between the G and the A. I'm using my pinky. You can use your ring, whatever you prefer, and then the melody comes in. So you start 5th, 8th on the B string, and then bend up a whole step. Unbent, and then pre-bent vibrato. Come down on the 7th fret of the G string. 7, 5, 7. That's 7 on the D, 5 on the G, 7 on the G. Bend it up, 8th fret of the B. And then a trill. And the same thing twice. It ends with a longer trill. And then it goes into the interlude. Okay, here's the higher guitar part that goes along with that. All right, so I put those into this guitar part. Why not? And then we're going to come in with the melody. So this starts up in 17th position. It's actually all played up there. 17th on the B, 20th. So it's the same thing that we played down here, but an octave higher. But I go. So that's up on the 20th, come down on the 20th on the G, 19, 17. So it's the same lick, really. 19, 17, 19. 19, 17, 19, 20. And then you repeat that. That part's followed by another intro, like the intro part B. It's a 5-bar section that leads into the verse. And likewise, it's got a primary rhythm guitar part and a higher guitar part. So let's do the primary rhythm guitar part first. All right, so this is a little bit of a twist on the other part. We're going to go. So you play that A octave first, 5th fret, 7th fret. 5, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5 twice, down to 8, bend slightly. And then another trill. You're going to do that 3 times, and the last time you go. So on beat 3, and then it goes into the main lick in the tune that's doubled by the bass, and that's 3, 5, 5, 7. And that's muted, palm muted, so you lay your palm across the strings. 3 and going between 3, 5 on the 6th string and 5, 7 on the D string. All right, now let's add that overdub part. All right, so this part through the first 4 bars is just these little dead string hits with echo repeats. You can hear them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. So at the end of those first 4 bars, you got 13th fret, 12th fret of the high. And then after that, so I'm just strumming. After that is where that lick comes in. So in the second bar of that, you do this slow bend, just barring across the 7th fret on the G and the B, and basically you end up with the sound of the G string up a whole step and the B string up a half step. Slowly release it, and then in the last bar you have 1. So a bend and release. You could also pull off if you want. Then you go back up to that 13th, 12th. All right, now we're up to the verse section, and on the verse we have 2 guitar parts, as we said, a main rhythm part and then a higher soloing part. So let's do the rhythm part first. All right, this rhythm part, the first part of it is just on the G and the B string. So 5th fret, barring across with the index, 7th fret, slight bend, back to a trill, second time you just hold that vibrato, third time, back to that trill, and then, so that's 8-5, and then 7-7-5, 7-7-5, D string, G string. And there you're bending 7th fret on the G string and barring across the top two at the 8th. So we're coming up from that bass line like riff. So that band laying across the 7th fret of the G and B. And then again. Then the last time. So we're bend, release, 5th fret, 7th fret on the D. And then you end up 5th fret of the G and B. All right, now let's do the higher guitar part that goes along with that. All right, so this plays little licks between the vocal part. So nothing in bar 1, bar 2, 1. So we're bending 8th fret of the G up a whole step. Another one of those catching the same fret on the G string. And then that's unbent. 7-5, and then nothing in the next bar, and then in bar 4. So we start 7-5-7, bend, 7th fret up a whole step, release, pull off, and then pull off 7-5 on the D string. And the second time it just goes, so no pull off at the end. Then we have 2 bars of rest. This is where he sings, knowing all the time, still be roaming the countryside. Doubles the other guitar. And then you can, if you're playing a secondary part, play this riff again. Or just lay out and go 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So that comes in at the very end of the section. Beats 3 and 4. 1, 2. So then that's 13, 12, top 2 strings. All right, now let's jump ahead to the third verse because we have a second verse that comes in after that other part, and it's just like the first verse. The third verse is the one where he starts singing, I remember the first time I saw you, and this is where there's a different lick, bass and rhythm guitar, double a new lick, and then there's a higher rhythm guitar part above that. So we're going to do that part, and I'm going to do the main rhythm part first. And then at the end of that section is sort of an interlude that is a harmonized melody. So I'm going to add that line at the end to the main rhythm guitar part because that's basically what it's doing there. And then it goes back into a rhythm guitar part that's very much like the intro, the first rhythm guitar part we heard. So again, this is starting from the 1 minute, 31 second point of the song, and here's the primary rhythm guitar part. right, this is another part that doubles the bass line, stays in 5th position. So 7, 5, 7. And then at the end, 5, 6, 7. And then that low A fretted with the thumb. And that riff is played a total of 12 times last time. And then you're going to come out of it into this harmonized lick. So we're bending up 8th fret of the B string. 5th fret, and then 8th again. So you're going to bend up, release, pull off to the 5th fret. And then you're going to bend the 7th fret of the G string. Up a whole step, 5th fret, the end of the lick. So 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, pull up. And then there's that sort of reprise of the intro rhythm part, but it's a little bit different. He goes. So the first time, there's a little trill, but the second time, you got to pull off 7, 5, 5, 5, G string and B string. And then that repeats. And then that chorus melody is going to come back in, but we've already gone over that part. All right, now let's add that other rhythm guitar part on top of this third verse. All right, this other rhythm part is played up here. It's kind of based on A minor 7 up here, and primarily on the D, G, and B strings. Coming on B2, 1. So that's, first you strum the chord, and while holding the index and middle finger, you're going to take the ring finger off, pick the D string and hammer. And then you pick the chord again and pull off. But you pull both fingers off. And then that repeats, except going forward from there in most of the rest of the bars that follow. There's a little that comes at the end of it, where you still have your index finger barred across the A and the D string at the 12th fret. But that hammer moves from the D string over to the A string. So that's 12, 14 on the A, barred across D and the G at 12, and then you pull back 14, 12. So you got. And he doesn't do that every single time. Sometimes he just goes. Or sometimes he stays up there by going. And then at the end, this little single note lick is in harmony with the other guitar. So we're bending 15th fret of the B, up a whole step. You release the bend and pull off to the 13th fret. To the 15th fret and vibrato. That time. to bend, pull off the 13, and then 14th fret in the G. Then we move down to 5th position. So we got 8th fret of the high, 5th fret, 8-5 on the B. And then G string up a whole step, 7th fret, 5-7. And then you lay out for that rhythm part. And those slide accents come back. And then at the very end there, it jumps back up to harmonize the melody. All right, now let's take a look at the outro of the tune. This is starting at the 3-minute 9-second point. And again, there's two guitars. There's sort of a rhythm guitar, primary guitar with a lead guitar over it, but that primary guitar becomes a soloing guitar, and then there's two guitars soloing freely through the end. So we're going to pick it up from the 309 part, and we'll do the part that starts as a rhythm part and then breaks into lead, explain it, and then we'll go back and do the other lead part. Here we go. All right, so this starts with a rhythm part. Just doubling the bass, 3-5, 5-7 between the 6th string and the 4th string. That repeats, and then it ends. 5-7-5 on the A, 3 on the A, and then after the first 4 bars, this solo starts 1. 5-8. So in bar 7, you're coming down from 1. Another one of those 8, come down, and then it's bar 8. 5-7-5-5, 8-5-5. And then the next bar. So we're going to start with that bend up 7th fret of the G string. And then the next bar. So that was bar 10. And then in bar 11. So that's 5-8-5 bend. 8-5 slow bend. Next bar. So that's going into bar 13. Coming out of bar 12, B3, 3. And this is where he starts to repeat this lick going. So that's 5-8, 5-8, 5-5. And then in bar 15, you're going. So it's still coming off that lick, and you know the way it rolls, it's definitely confusing to try to get it exact. You have to sit with the transcription slowly and really listen. But that 10, 8, 5, 8, 5, 8, 7. Now let's add the other guitar on top of that. right, so it's going to come in and pick up our 1, 2, 3. So this is 17, 19. And then 17, 19, 17, hammer on pull-up. And on 19 on the D. And then back to 17 on the B. So that's step and a half. 17, 16, 15. 16th fret on the B. Step bend. Then going into the next bar. So 20th fret, bend. Down to 17. 19, release. 17, 19, 17. Then he shifts down to 5th position. So you got seventh fret of the G bend, 5, 5, 8, 5, 7, release. The unison bend here, 7, 5. Now one thing to keep in mind is, you got two guitars just sort of really freely soloing. So it gets really confusing to read and to listen to. The lines are so free, especially, that last 8-bar section. You got this one guitar going, licks like that where you're going. Just, so the real thing to keep in mind is what all those different shapes are. You got, that's 8, 5, 5, and then things like that. Going up, 5, 7 on the A string, 5, 5. And then those licks just kind of roll around between that. So if you wanted to get every one of those licks, you'd really have to sit and look at a transcription because they are very confusing timing-wise. So just listen closely, listen for those different shapes. And then at the end here, last 3 bars, you can hear this. He's just doing this hammering on 5, 6, 7 on the G, on the B, and the high E. Comes back down just straight hammer up to the 7th fret on the B, G, and D string. And ends with this. So you got 9, 8, 9. And then you leave the B string out, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12.